Thursday,
Right.
6 years ago, that
Okay.
she went missing.
Welcome to Inside Look. I'm Jeff Lyons, joined today by Faye Cardin. She is the aunt of Dawnita Wilkerson, who went missing in 2020, about 6 years ago now. And you approached me wanting to talk about missing persons, in particular Dawnita, but also the situation that many families find themselves in. So thank you for coming on Inside Look.
Thank you for accepting my proposal on this.
It's interesting, it's compelling, it's heartbreaking, for the families involved, and I know you're going to talk about that. So, first of all, tell us for those who don't know, who is Dawnita Wilkerson?
Dawnita is my niece. We all grew up in Mount Vernon, Indiana, and she is my second oldest sister's daughter, and she does have a brother. But Dawnita also had six kids, and we have lost one of them. Plus, we've lost her mom since she's been missing.
Well, a lot to bear as a family, and for you in particular. Dawnita disappeared on the 21st of June 2020, correct? So we're about 6 years away from that
Right.
date. What happened that evening, to your understanding?
That day, she told one of her daughters she'll be back because they were going to go do laundry. And she went walking towards Simpson's right off of Taylor Avenue. She had left her brother's house, and that was the last time anybody's seen her.
And since that time, and since she was reported as missing, there was extensive news coverage right off the bat, or in the early days. I've seen billboards out there and everything. Are you behind speaking for the family and trying to keep this case active?
I keep it going because some of the family members do have a hard time. Her kids, they've been through so much, and, when they're used to talking to their mom every day, and now they can't talk to her.
And I'd read that she called her mother daily, and that was the first clue that something was amiss. Or she called daily.
Yeah, she called daily. My sister Vitula, she, didn't hear from her. Her kids didn't hear from her because she'd call everybody every day. If not, she'd call anybody anytime she felt like she needed to talk. I mean, she could wake you up out of sleep at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, guess what? But all of us knew something was wrong when we didn't hear from her. And also at the time, it was during when COVID started, so it was even harder to get balls rolling because, a lot of people were shut down. A lot of people were stuck in houses and wearing masks and didn't want to come out. So it took a little while longer than it should, only because of the COVID.
So, Faye, please walk us through kind of the timeline. So, Dawnita is missing. So, what's the first step? I guess you call the police and file a report. And then kind of walk us through what happened after that.
Well, her kids called, and, they had waited thinking because, she did have some court dates, I guess. But they called back again, and then it just that a lot of people kept calling in with different things, telling the family different things. And so we just put flyers together. They did search. Her closest friends in Mount Vernon did a search for her. We've had Hovey Lake looked at. We've had all kinds of areas looked at. I mean, every tip that the nieces and the cousins got, they didn't waste time. They went to it. They told some of the cops. Sometimes they didn't. FBI got involved. They finally did a news thing for us and got more things rolling for us. But if it wasn't for tips that we keep getting from people we're not sure how they are connected to Dawnita, but they would come and tell us stuff, and then we would have to turn around and turn it over to the detectives. I mean, we've gone through 3 detectives, and we're on our 4th detective now. So it's like, now they got to catch up. Everyone had to catch up from the very first ones.
And I noticed when you came into the studio here today, you had a satchel and you have scrapbooks and books and information and that. So it appears you've been kind of the bookkeeper, more or less, of keeping all the pieces in one place so that you can kind of trace what's happened. As you look back at that, does that help you in any way? Do you look at it daily and think, what in the world? Or, I mean, what are the emotions? And I can't even imagine.
I don't look at it daily, but the last picture I got of her, and I have it on my phone, and she's always was like, Auntie, how'd you get your hair that way? And the last picture she sent me was, Auntie, look, my hair is finally looking like yours. Family-wise, we all have our own emotions. We all have our moments. And there's not a day that don't go by that we don't have I don't want to say breakdown, but it's just, a feeling of loss.
From 2020, June the 21st, when she disappeared, to now, where does it stand?
Right now, the detective we have, she's really is working hard on it. She's done some things that the other detectives didn't do, but I stayed in contact with Erin that was before her, and because we have Hastings now, and whatever information I get or family members give me that somebody's given them, I give to her and let her go ahead and do her job. I think the hardest part people don't understand is they can't tell us everything, otherwise we won't have a case when it's time for it.
Right. So they have to sit on some of the information. They share some with the family, and yet you still have no closure and no real sense for where it stands. And you had mentioned that earlier. And I guess the bigger point that you wanted to make is about people not wanting to talk about this, but it's a big situation around the country. Many hundreds of thousands of families face this every day. So what is the power of talking out about it?
It helps mentally to trying to get some of your frustrations out. But the thing of it is, people know something. They're afraid to say something. But a lot of times you can do a lot of the anonymous stuff just to help the other people. I mean, it is hard for the people to have the people missing. It's hard for some of them to talk about it because all it does is just breaks their heart more and more. I run across people who do not understand our situation and they make rude comments. Your comments aren't helping us. You're just making it worse because all you're doing is feeding something to make somebody else come up and say the wrong thing. I do know that my niece's girls, their Facebooks were blowing up with the rudest comments that you could think of. It doesn't matter what kind of person you think someone is. It doesn't mean that family has all the same ideal you have. Nobody's going to have a perfect family.
No, and I mean, at the very simplest level, she's a mother, she's a niece, a daughter, all of those things that everyone wants to be and hopefully is. And I noticed in researching for this podcast that what you had mentioned. I also noticed that there are a lot of groups out there on the internet that take on cases like this, and they've solved some, believe it or not, over the years.
Yes.
And they look at, the evidence that they can get and so forth. But there's so much speculation. I mean, you must kind of get whiplash from, there's hope and then there's not. And then a lead doesn't pan out.
That's the emotion train that you get on because, oh, maybe this is going to pan out, and then it doesn't. Or you think the information you've gotten is going to pan out. But then the people won't literally go talk to the cops. They just want to tell us what they see and know. But the cops still need the feedback from the people who are actually saying this. And even though if they go look for leads, I'm not expecting the cop to come back and tell me everything they found. I just want them to keep doing their job and help us find her.
Sure. You know, we had the high-profile case with Nancy Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie, on the Today Show. Her mother disappeared. Her family in the same boat as yours. You know, there's just no answer. And even at that level, you know, I mean, we're here, we're just, you know, people that live in the tri-state, and here you have somebody on the national stage. It blew up for a couple of weeks, and then you haven't heard a peep. And I'm sure you experienced the same thing on some level where there was a huge, you know, outpouring and lots of information, you know, lots of concern, as there should be, and then the next thing comes.
I think a lot of people from where I grew up, it took a village to raise your child. It took a village to take care of the older people in your neighborhood. And all I remember is you couldn't even walk a 2-4 block radius without everybody knowing your business. And then that's what really kept you safe. Nowadays, you don't even have that. You don't have people looking out for you when you walk down the street. You do something wrong, your mama knew before you got home. And now it's like no one wants to get in anybody's business because too many people are going to be worried about whatever somebody else is going to say. But doing the right thing is stepping up to the plate. Tell what you know, tell what you've seen or what you heard. Or if something looks suspicious and it doesn't look like it's supposed to be there or if it's totally out of character for the area, make that call. You don't have to step in and put your feet into the fight. Just make the call and say, hey, this is going on, but I'm not sure what this means. I mean, nowadays, the people have taught people if they're in the car to do the little help sign. How many people pay attention to it? Because they're too busy worrying about themselves and not really paying attention to what's going on around them. You're not the only one stuck in a situation. There's so many people stuck in situations, and that's how they go missing.
And you're keeping this in front of everybody. You're wearing a shirt right now for our listeners. They can't see your shirt, but that says Dawnita Wilkerson and the dates and her picture and her children, I believe. And my glasses on here
They're all her.
Oh, okay, her children. And I've seen billboards, you know, on the Lloyd Expressway from time to time. You'll see a billboard that comes up. So, are you the driver behind this? It's kind of fallen on you to keep this fresh?
It's been a family thing. When she first started missing, it had been a family thing. Everybody just, whoever they had, who has contact with what, and then we just keep doing it. I personally, when Fall Festival hit, we walked those booths. We put the pictures on the booths by asking the people if it's okay. I appreciate the nut covers allowing us to still be able to advertise, put our signs out, because you don't know where she is or what's really going on.
Or where that next lead will come from or some little tidbit that will then give you closure in the case. And you had wanted to, again, bring this whole issue, not only within your family in particular, but just in general, out to the public here on the podcast. I'm so glad that you came. I know this has been difficult. How are you coping? What do you do you show me some pictures. We had a little technical where we had to stop, and you show me pictures of mats that you've been making. Is that therapeutic for you in a way to weave and to work at your loom and think of Dawnita at the same time, or how does that help?
It keeps me grounded because at the time, you know, Dawnita was homeless, but she had friends that she was staying with here and there, and her girls were doing the same thing. And when they first came out talking about making the mats, I was working, but I didn't have the time to put into it. But now that I'm retired, that's what I do. And I work with Hope.com by taking the mats to them who really deal with the homeless. And I try to start out with 100. My 100th mat I made especially for her. It was pink. And then I gave it Hope.com. They gave it to someone. And then I did 150. I did 200. Now I'm getting ready to do my 250 mat, which is coming up for June 21st is when she went missing. I make the mats to symbolize she was part of a homeless too, but yet she's still not here with us. Wherever she is, we just want her to come home. One way or the other, we want her home.
All right, Faye, I really appreciate you coming and sharing your story here with us on Inside Look. And you had mentioned Hope.com as one thing. Is there another place if people have tips or information that they can pass them along? I guess call the police would be the first step?
Yeah, there's a tip line where you call the missing person tip line.
Yeah, you shared that with me, and of course, you can Google. Oh, there it is right there. All right.
Yeah, the tip line is 812-435-6194. We do have an email out there, finddawnitawilkerson@gmail.com. We forward that information over to the FBI and the police department. We also, I know, we have from a cousin where it's a Facebook for Dawnita.
Mm-hmm.
So, we keep a lot of stuff out there, and some information we get, if it's on there, and it's Find Dawnita. So we've got people who send things to certain family members, and then they send them on to us, even if it's through their Facebook.
Sure. Okay. I really appreciate you sharing. I know it's been difficult for you, certainly, since the 21st of June, 2020, but maybe sharing your story, something will come of it, and I wish the very best and hopefully closure for you soon.
Yeah, missing people don't get a lot of recognition because too many people don't want to get involved. Not being involved doesn't mean you have to put yourself out there where public can see who you are. I mean, if you just see something or know something, just a little tidbit, your information may help anybody who's missing get their case solved. Even if it's just like you think it was something you didn't think was happening when you were little, it was probably happening. And cold cases are just as hard because half the people may not be there anymore when they do them on cold case. But it doesn't mean somebody knew something or overheard aunts, uncles, cousins, friends talking about something in their past. Well, how that past can lead to solving the cases that aren't even solved, but nobody thinks they haven't forgot about them. It's not forgotten. It's just that it needs to be brought back out to the open to be seen, to be heard.
And thanks for coming out here and bringing that to everyone else. I really appreciate your time with Faye. I was going to shake your hand here. There we go. Faye, thank you very much for coming out.
You.
Faye Cardin. I'm Jeff Lyons. If you'd like to listen to any of our Inside Look podcasts, you can do that wherever you get your podcast. You can also watch on the 14 News YouTube channel. With Faye Cardin, I'm Jeff Lyons. Thanks for joining.